On this occasion, this is a pretty, I don't know, it's a thoughtful video, put it that way. You know that I always say this, I only make videos when I feel passionate about something. And this is a passion, but it's also almost like an addiction. It's a compulsion. It's all of those things. I've been living in Thailand for the last 11 years, going on for 12. And during that time, very early on, I realised that I never wanted to go back to live in the West. And that has become ingrained in me. Like it's just captured me. The thoughts of going back to the West after being here for such a long time is terrifying. I mean that. It's absolutely terrifying. It's not just, well, I'll tell you what what kind of solidified this kind of fear in me is the state of Western culture, European culture, American, Australian, whatever, with the immigration crisis. I'll talk about Ireland, that's where I'm from. With the immigration crisis in Ireland, things are in a catastrophic state. The expense of living in Europe, the way people aren't as open as they are here. This is the thing that captivates you about Thailand. The people are so nice. I know there's exceptions, I know, yeah, but look, generally speaking, the people are so welcoming, cordial, friendly, accommodating, tolerant. You can choose as many positive adjectives as you want. And they're qualities that you don't get in Europe. I wouldn't describe Irish people, well, you would describe them as friendly, but would you describe Irish people as tolerant? No. Look at the immigration crisis in Ireland. I know it's wrong. I know the government are fecking up, and I know that Irish people are being treated like second-class citizens in their own country. But, you know, there's no tolerance for it now. I suppose if that was enforced on the Thais, they would be a lot more, they would be a lot more vocal, and I would dare say militant about it. One of the benefits of living here is that there's no immigration. I'm not an immigrant. I'm on a visa, an annual visa. We all are. We're all guests, with the odd exception of somebody who's on has a residency permit, a permanent residency. That's a very odd exception, or even the more odd exception. And odd doesn't even cover it for rank who gets a Thai passport. The hen's teeth, pigs fly. That kind of terminology comes to mind. But you see, because of that, the Thais don't tolerate immigration. So their country is xenophobic, and that's in a positive light. I'm not saying that's negative. I'm just saying that's the way it is. Every taxi driver is Thai, every bank manager is Thai, every McDonald's worker is Thai. You won't get that in Paris, London, Dublin or Berlin or New York. Well, look, the States was built on immigration. But the fact that there's no mixture of cultures here, this is not a multicultural society. There's lots of Europeans who live in here. When I say Europeans, you know who I mean, everybody, the Westerners. But we're not integrated into Thai society. We're on the periphery of Thai society. But that's one of the most attractive things about this place. That there's no animosity, social animosity based on a ghetto type scenario that you'd have in major European cities, where immigrants, second generation, third generation immigrants feel that they're less entitled than the native born, and there's friction and this and that. That doesn't exist here. Also, there's no social welfare here. and it's wonderful because of the fact that there's no social welfare here. People don't depend on the state. There's no subculture, and you might say, well, how do people survive? You see, the government here doesn't impose restriction on people if they want to go out and sell food on the street. You don't necessarily need a license, and you don't need to have your health and safety board come out and check what you're selling. None of that. So therefore, if you've no job in Thailand, you can get a trolley, you get whatever you want, and go out and sell chicken and rice, or fish and rice, pork or whatever it is tomorrow, and you'll be doing fine. The government don't care. It's called a casual economy here. So therefore, I don't know what the exact figure is. I rarely, I usually say I never quote statistics, but what is it? 1% unemployment in Thailand? And you might ask why, and that's why. Number one, there's no immigration. Number two, you can go and sell chicken sandwiches or chicken and rice on the street without any clarification, without any registration or anything like that. So there are some major pluses to the way things are run here, and they are what lend themselves to this easy way of life and this wonderful type of society that I'm lucky enough to live here, live in, and therefore the thought of going back to Europe, it would be psychologically crippling. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not just the social aspect, it's the weather. Look at this. This is June, but this could be December. It doesn't make any difference. It's Thailand casts a spell on you. It really does. And you can talk about the food. Well, I think the food is overrated myself. I'm not a big fan. It's okay, but I prefer, and I said this before on previous live streams and videos, that Mexican, Indian and Arabic food are on a par, and Thai food is somewhere below that. That's the way I'd say it. But disregarding that, the women, I mean, come on, where would you be? And the friendliness, I mean, it goes without saying, it's a no-brainer for me. I know you never say never, but the thought of ever going back to live in Europe would be as my mother used to say, it'll be the death of me, or it would be the death of me. I wouldn't be able to function. I know I wouldn't. And I suppose you'd probably get used to it after a while, and you'd have to function. But I would have no enthusiasm. Put it this way, I have no enthusiasm for even considering going back to Europe. I just couldn't do it. My wife, Thai wife, is retiring in a few years, and she's eager for my son to get a good education, and Ireland has a good education system. And she's making noises about Harry going to school in Ireland. No way, Jose. I mean, I want what's best for him, but I don't want him to grow up in a society that looks like it's fallen apart. Notice I said looks like it's fallen apart. And the same can be said for the UK. The same can be said for the United States. Look at Philadelphia. Look at Detroit. I mean, just look at these places. Is that what the American dream looks like to you? Look at high streets in the UK, where most of the shops are boarded up. I know there's different economic reasons for these things and social reasons for these things, but these are facts. These are facts. Ireland, unlike the UK, Ireland, you don't have shops boarded up like that, and we don't call them high streets, we call them main streets. But the society seems to be crumbling because of various, like, immigration and whatever else it is. I don't know what's going on in the United States. Oakland, California is the same. I've seen it all on YouTube. I think the United States is a wonderful country, but judging by what I've seen on YouTube, God, and it's not contained into the United States. It's Canada as well has its problems like that. I think most major European cities have their problem. But you don't get, when I'm saying, you get guys walking around on methamphetamine. And they're walking around on the stoop and there's hordes of them on the sidewalk. You don't get that in Bangkok. It doesn't exist. You don't see it. It's not there. Well, I wouldn't say it's not there. Of course there's problems. But it's not a social inconvenience. I mean, you're not going to walk along the street and be pestered and intimidated by a group of young men drinking beer at 11 o'clock in the morning. Because it doesn't happen. Look, these are my thoughts. I'm probably rambling on a bit, but this is what it's all about. This is passion. This is what I do. This is what I do in this channel. And if you have any comments you'd like to make based on what I've said on this video, please do. Please let me know. But as far as I'm concerned, it would be easier for me to... I'm going to think of an analogy here. It would be easier for me... Yeah, I would say it would be easier for me, and this is how I feel, and I know I shouldn't say things like this. It would be easier. It would seem to be easier for me to lose the use of one of my limbs rather than move back to Ireland. But I mean Europe. But I'm from Ireland, so that's why I'm saying that, and that's the truth. But remember what I said. It would seem to me that I would rather. At this stage, I would rather lose the use of one of my limbs rather than move back to Ireland. Because I've often said a bad day in Thailand can a bad day in Thailand can beat a good day in Ireland. Can, not necessarily. I'll tell you what else isn't necessary. You don't have to click the subscribe button. You don't have to click the like button and the share button. But it'd be great if you did. And make sure you join me again for another wonderful video. Thanks for joining me.